My mom's new meal that she threw together. It's like rice and some chicken. We about to get down with the get down and see what she working with. Huh? Yeah. Well, that's for a couple years.
He has an overlap. Like packing or something, he going to spend the whole burger. I'm shocked. Every time I get him that, he ain't never eat that burger. He ate that whole burger. I thought he must have had me enough in a minute. That's what they chicken to it.
It's actually good.
Too much.
I'm not surprised all her food's good anyway.
All right. Too much.
Yeah, that chicken good.
Look, my face, got your drink.
Hey. What's that? Bubba. Hey. What's that?
Yes, no, you.
Bubba.
Huh? Oh, you said it? Oh, here you go. Probably $9.
Good.
I get it. If I send her my money, she get it for you. That's how I send it for you. You $20. Alright, I'm gonna send it to the night. As your kids get older, they just want stuff all the time. Let me tell you how to do that. You just always want to win something, no matter what.
She must have made a lot, because she put me up a lot.
I didn't do that. Okay. Yeah, that's for you. You eat that for a couple of days. My son said he had some too. My son said he had some too.
You got food already. That's good. I want some chicken too.
Yeah, all that done one time.
What?
You put all that done one time. She put like 6 pieces in there. There's no way. That's no.
I'm full. That was good. So yeah, it was good. Wish I knew the name of it. I ain't come with the name of it. Come put the name of it yet. Good morning. I just have something on my mind. And what I wanted to speak about was, I was having this conversation. This conversation was going in a way of, this is your, it won't just do what I did. This person was telling me, just do what I did before here and apply it to where I am. And I was a firm believer of that. The experiences, your experiences make you, and you can apply whatever you experience here to another place when you go there. And it just makes you more aware and more knowledgeable of, what you can do. Or it makes you less afraid and more courageous in a way of, it's easy. It'll be easy for me because I did it here, so that means I can do it there. But life is very mysterious. It all depends on your experience. It depends on you as a person, you know, because you as a person, you contain the experience. So whatever you go through can alter your knowledge or alter your mindset to where maybe, you know, even your situations can interfere with, you know, your memory. Some things we put in the back of our mind because we don't want to reminisce on those bad times. But in the midst of those bad times where when you faced your biggest challenges, and in those challenges you learned the most. And if we force this stuff in the back of our mind, when it's time for us to apply those experiences in those challenging circumstances, it becomes hard. To remember, because we suppress them in our deep subconscious, and you have to work through it. You have to pull through it. You have to pull all of that up because we forced it down. We got out of the car and he's like, "This is what you came back to. This is what you want to be around. You know, this is what you want to stay in." I'm like, it's not about the people, because people are people. People are the same everywhere you go. People don't change. It's the circumstances, it's the experiences that shape you, but that don't mean you change. And I was just saying, I'm just like, it's not about what they're doing out here. It's not about none of this. It's about what's inside. It's about what I made. It's about where I sleep. It's about where I lay my head. It's about my lifestyle and everything that I became. It's about everything that I've made and who I became. It's about every challenge and every experience that I've experienced here that, you know, kind of formed me, made me strong, you know, and I did it. But just because I did it here don't mean I could do it there, because I was in a whole different mindset. You know, I was going through everything. I was, you know, I was breaking off of the medication. I was at a form of breakthrough. You know, it's a whole different experience here than I will experience there, because I'm a whole different person. It's a new me, a new form of who I am. You know, I had the energy back then, but was it, you know, it could have been a reaction to anything that I was, you know, intaking, digesting at the time, as if, like I said, my prescription pills. Me breaking off of them and me just, you know, that's a whole different experience. That's me in the past. And me walking into this situation is just like I'm in a whole different stage in my life. This is a whole different me. And I keep saying that because it's true. It's like we go through different, just as, you know, high income, low income. We are personally we go through different stages in our mindset. Different levels of consciousness. You know, I'm not at that same place when I was out here doing what I had to do to get where I need to go, or, you know, I had all that momentum. You know, it's not about that. It's about where I am now mentally. Mentally, I was there in a whole different way. Mentally, I'm here in a whole different way. So it's just like you can't expect me to do the same thing that I did here, there, because mentally I'm not the same as I was here now that I am there. So, yeah, so it's a lot that comes with when you want to leave or you want to go somewhere, or, you know, it's all about you if you want to. You know, if you want to do it, then that's because you're ready for it. But if it's pressured or it's forced, as in my like in my situation where it's forced, it's not. It means I'm being pressured. You know, I may not be ready, and I'm not ready because of the simple fact that I'm pressured and I'm forced. It's not my decision to move. I'm being forced out of the situation. Therefore, I have to. It's a challenge for me to get mentally. You know, I'm being pressured to get myself together and go to where I'm being, you know, forced to go. And it's a whole different lifestyle, you know. And I have to start from scratch. And it's mentally exhausting when you're being forced and pressured, you know, rather than you going on your own, acting on your own free will. So yeah, that's just a conversation I had and I wanted to speak about. And I will talk to y'all soon, and I will see y'all soon in my next video. Bye. Unfortunately, I made the water too hot. But yeah, I'm upset because I didn't have any sound on my videos. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I started painting. I started painting. It took me 3 months to start painting. And I came up with the title of that video of the lies that I made from what I was talking about that obviously y'all couldn't hear. But it was saying, I was talking about the freaking screws on the bed because it was giving me a hard time. Some screws wouldn't come out, and I was like, do you consider yourself that one stubborn screw in life? And as I was sitting there taking down the bed, it came, you know, to my memory of when Bob Ross was painting, but as he was painting, he had lessons, like he was giving lessons while he was painting. And that's what I was doing. So it's just like, I was talking about how, you know, you could be that one stubborn person in life to kind of slow down the process and slow down life's cycle. You know, even though life goes on and, you know, the clock, the hands on the clock don't stop. The time doesn't stop, the world revolves, and, you know, it's going to keep revolving regardless of you, you know, choose to move on or not. It's going to go on without you, but at the same time, I just feel like if you're that one stubborn person in the midst of time, you can be that one lifespan that's kind of just holding everyone else back. You know, just like when you're in a pregnancy, you know, you have a baby, your baby is expected to come at a certain time, but the fact that, you know, that baby is stubborn and doesn't want to come out, your pregnancy lasts a little bit longer. So would you say that, you know, we have more control of the situation than we know we do? You can't have a baby unless the baby comes out. But that's the thing about us. We don't want to wait for that baby to come out. You know, the doctors take it upon themselves to use their utensils to get the baby out, us taking control of the situation. But what if we allow that baby to stay in as long as it needed and then came out? You know, is it really 8 months in pregnancy or 9 months in pregnancy, or we just made it that way? Could pregnancy actually last longer? There's been babies that, you know, I've been seeing videos of babies, you know, women being pregnant with babies for over 12 months. And sometimes it's because it's stillbirth. Sometimes it's because, it's I forget what stillbirth is like when the baby is deceased. But then, I'm just saying, like, as much as we like to think that the world will go on and we, regardless of if we want to act right or not, time goes on with or without you, I feel like it's kind of like the same scenario as that baby. If that baby isn't coming when it's supposed to, instead of us taking control of the situation, life does kind of wait around for us, because we're as mothers, we're waiting around for that baby to come out. We choose to put a time or a clock on when that baby will come out. So that's just some food for thought. Is it really in our control? If we're not ready, does time wait for us? I feel like it does, but people take control of the situation. Just like in my last video, when people get in the midst of your readiness, it kind of complicates everything. People, because they do have control of the situation, they can take control of the situation. This is what frustrates God's plan. Even if I'm not ready, they're throwing me out there because of their own personal reasons, how they feel about the situation. So yeah, like I said, Bob Ross was a very impactful artist. I used to watch him on YouTube. He was why I first started painting. Just the stories he would tell and the lessons he would give along with painting, like just pouring all of your passion into it and just doing it, and that's how I started off. And like I said, I learned within 3 months, more so because I didn't think of it as a skill. I didn't feel like I was really skillful in painting, but it's all about the emotions, and it kind of changes your perspective in a way, and that's what I learned. Like, if I could paint right now, I would definitely be painting. But it just kind of changes your perspective. It changes your view. Every time I finish painting, I would go out on the balcony and I would just sit there and I would stand, and look at the sky and just look at everything. And it's like everything was just, I had new eyes for the situation. Every time I came out of painting, I was a whole different person. Like, I had a whole different vision. I had a whole different feeling. It changed me personally. It changed my personality. And like I said, I was content with my situation. I was content with where I was. I was with my son's dad at the time, so I wasn't looking for, anybody. I had my 2 kids up under the roof with me. I felt good, and I had nothing to worry or be concerned about. And when you're in that type of contentment in life, it's easy for you. It's more, I would say, it's more easy for you to just be, to exist. Living is like, it's more complicated than existing. Existing is like that student at the desk watching the teacher and taking notes and lessons and observing life and preparing yourself for, what eventually to come about. Eventually you'll be in that teacher's position. And then, that's existing, but living is like going into the fire, doing everything and struggling, and, instead of being the person that's existing, you're living the situation. You're now in that teacher shoe. And I feel like it's better to exist and live, because you can really observe and be more appreciative towards the situation. You can just sit back and see everything for what it is, even if you don't live and you're only in a position to exist. You're learning at the same time. And what's more, what's better for you in life. Than to be still and actually just learn, you know, take it all in, endure, without putting so much pressure on yourself or just feeling tired all the time, you know. Maybe you were supposed to just exist in this world, but we've been put in this position to actually live, and we put more pressure on ourselves than it's supposed to be, because life isn't, like I said, I'm a firm believer that life is not meant to be this way. Humans did this to us, you know. We're receiving the backfire of our own doing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, be notified, share at your own free will to show you care, and I will see y'all next time.